The presenting sponsor of Moon Tower Soccer is FVF Law.
To find out what makes FVF a different kind of injury law firm, you can visit fvf.law.
Hello friends, thanks for listening to Moon Tower Soccer. This week we break some news. We will discuss some other roster news and rumors, and we'll be joined by the official Moon Tower Soccer Games Master, Marcelo Teson, to go over the results from our over-under prediction show earlier this year. My name's Landon Cottom, and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Jeremiah Bentley.
Hey, everybody. I am Jeremiah Bentley. And Landon, have you watched any Major League Soccer playoffs yet so far?
I have watched some of them, and I think the reason I've watched some of them, and maybe not all of them, has to do a little bit with the playoff format this year, which is a best of three format, meaning the first games are they don't mean nothing, but they're not entirely determinant of what the final result is going to be, right? Like, have you watched any, and do you like what are your thoughts on this new format?
Oh, a very easy answer to that. No, I've watched none of them, and once the first games are over and I know which second games I should care about, then I will start to watch them. And I think this format is terrible. And I get kind of why. I guess for the sake of Apple, hopefully having more games on TV results in more people watching games. But I kind of feel like the league nailed the format last year, where it's 1 through 7, and the first place team got home field advantage, and then like the higher seed got a home field advantage everywhere around, and it was like every game mattered. And so I was super disappointed after it felt like this league, which has struggled in terms of playoff formats for a long time, finally nailed it, that they just kind of upended the whole thing and changed it all up for this year.
Yeah, I don't think it's entirely bad. I do like that if there's going to be multiple games, that there's no aggregate score or like away goal, anything. I know a lot of people like that, and I think that's probably just because it's what they're used to with like European competitions. I really hate the fact that one game affects the outcome of another. And so, like last night, we watched Sporting Kansas City wreck St. Louis. Going into this second game, you would likely see Kansas City just shut it down and try to be defensive the whole time. And that's boring. Like, I hate that. I like that if you're losing really bad in the first game, you can just throw everything you have and try to win that game because the goal differential isn't going to matter. I like that part of it. But as to your point earlier, like this first game, like I would be willing to put a lot of money that there's like an enormous gulf into the amount of viewers for these first games and the amount of viewers for what the second and third games are going to be. So yeah, for that reason, I mean, I think you're right. I think the one game thing, though this version of it is probably more fair than the one game thing. And I think the better teams are more likely to come out of these three game series. I think MLS should lean into being MLS and just go for maximum fun all the time.
Yeah, or do that for every round. So it's also weird that there's like a three game series in the first round, and then we revert back to like one game series in the rest of the rounds. Like either buy into it or don't.
Yeah, that's strange too. I mean, functionally, the playoffs would just last way too long if they did that. But
totally.
Again, it's weird to do it in one round and not the others. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into some Austin FC news. So the first news is news that you heard first from Moon Tower Soccer's Twitter feed, which is not generally a thing that we say on this show.
No, I was like, but sometimes people tell us things and we feel obligated when multiple people tell us things to report the things that we've heard. So yes, that would be that Nick Lima is gone from Austin, likely gone from Austin this offseason, and likely headed to New England.
So
let's report a lot of rumors. Let's start with
know?
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. I was like, how confident are you that we know what we know? Which parts of this do you feel confident in?
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to say that the first time I mentioned Nick Lima being a trade target on the show, I didn't actually know anything. That was me just Nostradamusing into the future and saying like, I think this is a guy who has trade value. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. The second time, I had heard a little bit of news, like a rumor essentially, but couldn't verify it. But then Jeremiah was able to kind of like bring the other half of the locket together with some information he picked up. And with that, that was like enough to say, like, okay, we're quite confident this is happening. We think the destination is the New England Revolution. What we don't know is the trade terms. Like, what are we getting back from this? Is it going to be allocation money or a player? We don't know this yet. I guess what would you want to see coming back? Like what would the other half of the terms need to be for you to think this is a good deal?
I almost think I would rather have the allocation. I mean, obviously a decent amount of allocation money, but like allocation money that allows Burrell some more flexibility given how restricted we know Austin is to make moves during this offseason, as opposed to like a player who we're locked into, unless it's the exact right player. And I don't know enough about the New England Revolution roster to know who that player might be. So I think for me, like it would be money that gives us some flexibility to do something else.
Yeah, I think that makes sense too. I think that is the way that that's the way that maximizes the value from this. And I think that brings up like, why is this happening? Because Nick Lima was not our biggest problem this year. Like, so he wouldn't be like number one on the list of players you would want to trade or get rid of. But as I've stated on shows before, like he is one of the few assets that you can trade, like that somebody would actually want and be able to like give up valuable assets for. And combine that with him being like a player that we potentially could upgrade on or like would be fine without given the right circumstances. I think that makes it make more sense. He's about to be 29 years old. He's got, we think, probably 1 year left on his contract. And he's a proven MLS level player. And so that means there is a market for a guy like that. The best way to free up budget space as an MLS team is to sell or trade players like this. And so, yeah, like guys whose contracts are expiring, that will open up their cap space. But if you can trade a guy before the contract is up, you free up the cap space plus extra allocation money or a player potentially in return. And so that, like looking for any opportunity to do that is going to be the way for Burrell and company to give themselves the most flexibility possible in the offseason.
I think that's a really good point. And then, so I want you to kind of walk through, like you said, he's not our biggest issue. He's a pretty good player. Everybody loves his like ability to throw the ball long and hit Julio in the head. But I've also read, online and other places that he's like not the right player for the way that Josh Wolf wants to play. And I don't quite get that. So maybe can you expand upon that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think one thing I said last week is that he's like a sixes across the board guy. And so if it is the Revolution that he ends up going to, like that is a team who likes to play like a more athletic and direct style of soccer, probably be a decent fit for that team. Because I think Kevin Morris said, or I was chatting with him online earlier today, and he said like it's a run fast, kick far soccer, like old school MLS 1.0 soccer. And like that, Nick Lima is quite good at that. And I think he'll fit into that style well. Nick Lima, where he lacks is either like, I think to play this style, you want those fullbacks, or you want some certain players in certain positions to be able to kind of play these flex roles. So you have John Gallagher who can kind of flex into that wing back, like that winger position. Nick Lima is not great in the final third, is not really able to like take guys 1v1. He's not like great in those like rondo situations, playing in the little triangle situations. And so what ends up happening is he ends up putting in a lot of crosses from that side because it's kind of the only option he has, whether it be based on his own limitations or the limitations of what options he has around him. But that's what ends up happening a lot. And so I think just because of the player he is, like, again, he's not a bad player. I think Nick Lima is a fine player, but he, just doesn't really fit what Josh Wolf is trying to do. And I think there'll be a lot of people who say like, well, maybe they shouldn't try to do that. But that's what we're gonna do. And so like I think that's kind of a moot point. Like that's the way we're gonna play. And if we're gonna play that way, I think Nick Lima is a limiting factor to what this team's ceiling is.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it kind of oh, this is gonna be later when we talk about John Gallagher and where he plays. I mean, one thing that we have is like John Gallagher is positionally flexible, and then one would expect John Coleman is going to come back. So like Austin seems like we would have options now across the back line, but none of them are great. None of them are great.
I mean, do you feel good about that? If the plan going into next season is John Gallagher at right back, John Coleman at left back, like, do you feel good about that? I don't.
No, I don't. I guess is Adam Lundqvist still part of this equation too? Not that he's amazing, but
I mean that doesn't make me feel any better whether he is or not. Like
that's fair.
It's not upgrading.
So I guess that
means.
That brings me back to Josh Wolf. I think it was like the last press conference he had at the end of the season, talked about upgrading at fullback, which I felt like when Nick Lima was a fullback, there were other positions that are of greater priority. And now I'm like, yes, absolutely. I agree with you, Josh. We have to upgrade at fullback. So which means he probably knew that this move was coming at the point in time when he made that call. But yeah, it would be very iffy to go into the season with those three guys as your options at fullback all the way around. Like I feel like you've got one starter and like one position of worry every single match, no matter where you play them.
Yeah, I mean, so let's say it is Gallagher and Colemanich, and then we talked about like maybe some second team players coming up. You have Hafferty and Toure who could play those like fullback, wingback positions. Like maybe they're going to go with a kind of a youth movement there, but I really hope that there is an upgrade coming. And I mean, like ideally it will be an upgrade either at right back or left back, and then Gallagher is the starter at the other one.
The other spot. Yeah, that would make sense.
I think even if you can bring in someone, this isn't the ideal situation, and I don't want this to happen, but I think this is a net positive. Even if you just bring in someone at the same level as Nick Lima, maybe with a slightly different skill set, but like the overall, let's say like the same FIFA rating, just to like put a number on it.
But more suited the way Austin plays.
Yeah, but also you're bringing it, like, let's say we do that, but bring them in on a free agency contract. And so if we can bring in that player on a little bit less money or the same money, plus we're getting this extra allocation money or whatever we're getting from the trade for Lima, I think that is still a net positive, though smaller than if we could actually bring in a much better player there.
Yeah. So like, what do you think the plan is here? Because like the most cynical part of me thinks maybe this is just Austin shedding an asset that can be shed because there's value, and that from all the levels, all the expectation setting downward from Rodolfo Burrell's press conference a few weeks ago, that maybe that Austin does try to roll with just what we have right now.
Yeah, like they don't actually have a plan right now. It's just like we can move this guy, so we're going to, and we're going to worry about the rest later.
Yeah, or yeah, not even worry about the rest necessarily during the winter, but like this is money. We're going to acquire money that we can save for the summer window, which we believe is the more valuable window. And like Austin's just going to roll with Galley and John Colemanich for the first half of the year. Like, do you think that's a possibility?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't put money against that. If we can upgrade in some other key spots, then it's not the worst thing in the world, because I mean, yeah, Gallagher, we're happy with him. Lundqvist,
the guy's an all-star. Like, I feel like we should probably,
yeah,
we've been talking him down a little bit, but yeah, he's fine. It's whoever's not Gallagher, I think, becomes the issue.
Yeah, if we can upgrade in some other spots to where you're not asking so much of those guys, maybe it's fine. But I hope we're upgrading. I guess we're getting into more rumory areas now. The first one, we don't really have a ton on this, but Dani Pereira posting some cryptic Instagram posts. It's one of these where it could read as like something weird happening, or just like, I don't know, just it could read as just
Dani
like,
had a bad day. I mean, this is the overly analyzing Instagram part of the off season for sure, when it first starts, and for sure before we started getting announcements, but it's also the things that we have to talk about right now.
Yeah, but if you combine that with so he didn't start the last couple of games of the season. Some other whispers going around about potential moves, and then I know, like, I've heard that there were offers for him, like firm offers that Austin could have taken earlier this year to move Pereira. And so it's like not surprising that someone might be interested in him, right? So like how upset would you be if they did move Dani Pereira, and like what would it need to take? Like what would make you happy in return?
Well, if it would take a whole lot to make me feel happy in return. And I mean, not only like okay, so moving Dani Pereira would be frustrating in a lot of ways. One, I feel like it's a picking the system over the talent on the roster. Two, like Danny's generation Adidas and is probably on like a club friendly contract in terms of salary. So like I feel like that is going to be a problem to move him.
I think that probably goes away though after
You think
this
it goes
year,
away this year? Because this
GA,
would be his
GA
third
contracts
year.
are 3 years, and so I think the
Okay.
next year would put him on a senior spot and probably more money. I'm not sure if it was like a guaranteed option that money's
Yeah.
already set, or if it was something renegotiated, but it's going to be, he's going to hit the cap more than he has, although probably still quite low.
I was going to say it's probably quite low, so it's probably still less than a Danny level player would cost you,
Oh yeah.
who's proven from acquiring within the league. So yeah, it would be hard for me to find a way to like the idea of Dani Pereira going out.
Yeah, I think this is true of any young prospect that hasn't reached their full potential yet, is if you sell them, you want to sell them for an amount or trade them for an amount that is worth you giving up the future output from them. And so you like, there's a reason most of like the super high transfers in Europe are like younger guys. It's because you're paying for potential. And so if we let him go for peanuts, I would be quite upset. But if it were a sizable amount of money, I mean, I've been vocal about my like my criticism of Danny's game, and again, it is because I believe he can be great, and I like want him to improve these things so that he can be great. But I do think that like he, without the right people around him, he can be limiting again to what Austin wants to do. And so if the right number came, I would take it. I would for sure take it, but it would need to be the right number.
Well, I guess that's that's for me where the rumor that it's within the league is a like the biggest problem for me, because it I feel like it's hard to find the right number to trade him within MLS. Like if you're like, oh, we'll transfer to Europe for whatever, and maybe it's going to be less than you might get otherwise, but you can use the money. Then like I'm probably good with that. But like an interleague thing becomes hard for me to find how we can get the value out of him that we should, unless somebody's just like super in love with Dani Pereira and wants to overpay, which has happened sometimes in this league.
Yeah, recently, like there's been some really big allocation money trades in the last year. So if we could get one of those, yeah, maybe it's good.
Maybe so. Well, do you want to talk about a rumor of a player returning? And full credit to We Are Austin TV / Top Flight. I think it's We Are Austin TV. I don't remember exactly which version it is. But...
Yeah, and I think Vanilla Mexican is from Twitter is involved in this one as well. So this is Ethan Finlay. They're reporting that he will be coming back next year. Not a big surprise, right? Like we kind of expected of all the guys who were up, like contracts were up or on option years, like he would be one of the ones to come back. He's currently on 425,000. I think as long as we can get him at slightly to significantly below that number, I think this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I would completely agree. He was a very productive player. I think he played a lot more than Austin expected him, than we all expected him to play this year, sort of given the other options on the wing. And he's also like a glue guy, which Austin has showed they probably need as many or more that Austin has right now.
Yeah.
Out of that. So like, I'm not at all surprised by that. Yeah. If you got a big fat raise, I would not like that. Hopefully it's like the same money or slightly less. I feel like it's one of these deals that hopefully we'll get the details. Well, we won't get the details of it until we see the rosters, till we see the salary numbers come out from MLSPA. But like, depending upon the contract value, it could be a great idea.
Yeah. Some more potential player news is there's reports out of Paraguay saying that Johan Romaña's loan will not be renewed for this coming season. The main reason being money. I'm based on like what he's on here, I would guess Austin is already paying at least a little bit of of his salary down there. I there was report. I think Tom Bogert reported there was an option to buy him. It seems like maybe Olympia did not think that the juice was worth the squeeze on that one, and are not interested in buying him, and maybe not even interested on loaning him again. The report was saying that he'll return to Austin FC, but like, do we actually think that means he's returning to Austin FC, or is that like on paper he's coming back to Austin FC, but actually we're going to loan him again?
Yeah, I think actually he gets loaned out again. It was just like the deal with Musajite, right? During
And
when
Pochettino
the
as
early part of
well.
the season. And in Pochettino, yeah. Where like I cannot imagine a scenario where he ends up back in Austin. One, given like depth at center back is not Austin's problem for one thing. Like top line talent is a problem, but like where he slots in as the fourth or fifth best center back we have. And then also there's a clear spat between him and Josh Wolf, like talking trash about each other on social media. And it's like I don't see any way that he comes back into this system and this coach knowing that Josh is going to be there. So yeah, he's probably not going to be at Olympia, but he's also, I feel, quite likely not coming back to Austin.
Yeah, I don't think he's. I know there's a few people who would argue at this point. I don't think he's better than any of our first three, and then probably worse than some of the makeshift options that we played this year. But let's pretend that he is like our let's just say this. Let's say that he would have been useful to have this season. I'll cede that point. Maybe that's true. I kind of don't think it is, but maybe it's true. I still like he's not good enough to play significant minutes for a good MLS team. And during the season, that's a different question. But in the off season, that is the question now. Like for the money he's on and the talent level he's at, is he a value add to the team? I think the answer to that is a resounding no.
I totally agree, especially given the money. Like there's got to be other options out there in the world, or other places Austin can spend the money where it makes more sense.
Yeah, so hopefully they can find a decent loan for him, or somewhere to sell him or something like that, because I think him being, I mean, just with the amount of money we're spending on our other center back options, like we can't really afford to spend a lot of money on backups at this point, and that's what he would be. So yeah, we need to find another place for him for sure. As far as other roster decisions go, we were kind of hoping maybe we get them today. It looks like I was checking earlier today. I think only 3 teams have released their roster decisions so far. And so we're not like late necessarily as far as like the teams who are out of the playoffs right now. But I mean, it could happen tomorrow with our luck. It will probably
with our luck,
happen
it'll be
tomorrow.
Halloween announcement. Yeah.
But it might not be. I mean, like it's with the seasons ending differently every year, it's hard to kind of predict when it's going to be. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it happens the day this comes out. It wouldn't surprise me if it happens 2 or 3 weeks from now. Like I really don't know what it's going to be. But we did get some confirmation from Sofyan Jafal's Instagram, posting kind of a goodbye tweet saying like he's leaving. And so I think we all kind of knew that was going to happen anyway. There was some posts from Jackson Walty and some other guys that were just alluding to the fact that Sophie maybe didn't have the best time here in Austin, which probably doesn't surprise anyone either. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he pops up in the future.
Yeah, man. What do you think about that? Like, I feel like from what we saw of him, there was some potential, and I wish we would have seen more out of him. But I guess it ultimately doesn't matter because it's one of those deals. It became obvious when he was not even making game day rosters that it was just not going to happen for him in Austin.
Yeah, I mean, it feels kind of like Jared Stroud, where I know last week Adrian was saying that he felt Stroud was kind of hard done by. Maybe that's true. Like, I don't know what happened in training or like between him and Wolf, if he gave up or if Wolf was just like, okay, you're not fitting my style, I'm done with you, and just banish you to never making the match day roster again. Like, I don't know where the truth lies there, but
it's the truth. And like, you can't go back, right? That's what has happened, and it makes total sense going forward that he's not a part of the Austin FC project.
Yeah. Where I was going to go with that is like, maybe Sofyan Jafal gets a few more minutes this year. I don't think it changes a lot. I think he's a decent player, but like he's not. I don't think he changes much about this team, and so I'm not going to mourn that part. If he was mistreated or like not treated fairly, then that sucks, and I feel bad for him there. But as far as changing the results this season, kind of the same thing with Jared Stroud. Like I don't think Jared Stroud was going to be successful in this style of play that we are using. And I said, like, if he goes to a pressing team, like he'll probably do quite well. And he did. He went to St. Louis and has been a pretty good player this year. So yeah, I mean, if these players are getting mistreated, that sucks. And like that's gonna affect bringing in players in the future. But as far as like, yeah, what they were gonna do to change Austin FC's fortune, I don't think it would have changed a whole lot.
Well, let's talk about a couple Austin FC 2 players we have a little bit of news on.
Yeah, we've got Micah Burton in camp with the U17 national teams preparing for the U17 World Cup. Those will kick off here in a couple of weeks. So they'll play their first group stage game on November 12th against South Korea, on November 15th against Burkina Faso, and then November 18th against France. And so I think these are all going to be on TV too, and like not on straight. I think it's like FS1 and some other outlets. I can't remember exactly where else, but not super hard to find, which is exciting that we'll actually be able to watch some of this. As far as like Burton's role here, I don't know that he's going to be like a nailed on starter, but based on past competitions over like the last year or so, he's going to get minutes and like probably get minutes in every game and maybe start some of the games. So will definitely be worth tuning in to see those games because we will very likely get to see Michael play some minutes.
Yeah, and then we also had news about a non-U.S. national team player. So Sebastian Pineau, I guess, what was it? There was like a letter from the Peruvian national team sent to Austin FC to ask for his release, which feels very like antiquated and like a father, like, you know, like a boyfriend asking for a father's hand in marriage. Like they sent like a carefully scripted letter via boat to Austin FC 2 or maybe something different.
I was reading up on this. It seems like to me it's just a request for the like parent club to release the player for a national team camp is all it is. And so the report seems to be that he's going to get released to the first team, which is pretty interesting. Like Peru's not the strongest national team. I was looking through players they've called in the last year. Quite a few MLS or former MLS players, a lot of players from the Peruvian league. And so it's not like a super high level. So it's not inconceivable that he would get called up, but it is unusual for an MLS Next Pro player of like at that level to be called into a national team, even of this caliber. And so I think it's more likely that they're checking him out for the Olympic qualifying tournament that's going to happen early next year. And then probably have their sights on using him for the Olympic squad if they qualify. And because you see this with the U.S. team sometimes, they'll call in really young guys just to get them in camp and get an eye on him, but really they're looking at him for a younger group. It feels like that's probably the case here. So I mean, if he is getting looks with the first team, that's amazing. Or with the top team, that's amazing. But even if he's not, like getting any big international minutes like this or looks like this would be really good.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, right? It's good for Austin FC overall to have as many players in the system involved as in as many national team like camps or programs as possible, just because it shows that we're building strength up and down the system, which will ultimately pay off for the first team.
Yeah, if nothing else, it should raise transfer valuations as well.
Yeah, if nothing else, for sure.
All right. Anything else, Jeremiah? Have we covered all the news we need to?
No, let's take a break and get into over under.
Yeah, so we're going to be joined by Marcelo Teson. Earlier this year, you'll remember that we did an over under prediction game that Marcelo put together for us, where we guessed. Marcelo set lines for us, and we guessed whether Austin FC or certain players would over underachieve on those things. Spoiler alert: we did a bad job. But
for the second year in a row, I think.
Yeah,
I think
that's right.
I think we were better this year than last year.
Really?
It's still not great. Yeah, I think so.
We also had some listener responses as well, and so Marcelo kind of gives updates throughout, as well as to show like how good the listeners did. And so we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with that. Moontower Soccer is brought to you by our friends at FVF Law, the official injury lawyers of Austin FC.
FVF is a different kind of personal injury law firm dedicated to community, transparency, and client education.
You can go to FVF.law to find out what makes FVF a different kind of injury law firm and why understanding your legal options can dramatically change the outcome of a case. Once again, that's FVF.law. Amplify Credit Union is a member-owned financial cooperative that served the needs of Central Texans for over 5 decades. Amplify's team lives and works in the community, making them the experts on how members can achieve their financial goals.
What makes Amplify different? No bank fees. Amplify is the first financial institution in Texas to put an end to bank fees. In 2022, Americans paid almost $8 billion in overdraft fees alone. Millennials pay an average of $336 a year in bank fees, which works out to 6 Austin FC game tickets per person per year. You'll pay none of these bank fees with Amplify Credit Union.
Amplify membership is open to any Texas resident. Learn to trust your bank again at Amplify Credit Union. To learn more, go to www.goamplify.com/moontower.
Our premier sponsor, McGuire Woods Consulting, helps companies and nonprofits navigate the political process, whether it's at the Texas Capitol in Austin, at City Council in Austin, or at the national level in Washington through lobbying, communication strategies, and general advocacy.
With offices across the country and in 10 MLS cities, including Austin, Houston, and Dallas, McGuire Woods Consulting is solidly verde and black. Learn more about our friends at McGuire Woods Consulting at mwcllc.com. All right, we are back. We are very happy to be joined once again by the official Moontower Soccer Game Master, Marcelo Teson. Marcelo, thank you for joining us. We're always thrilled to have you on the show because it means that we didn't have to prepare anything.
I'm always happy to be here. It gives me something to do.
And this is especially, I know I was like nervous whenever we recorded the over-under predictions, because then I'm like actually on like under pressure, but now we essentially just have to listen to you tell us how many times we were wrong.
Right. You guys were significantly wrong.
Oh, good. And I feel like you will take more joy in how wrong we are than probably we will. And we talked about this off air, but like this feature of having the community involvement and maybe learning how much smarter the community is than us will also be a nice addition to this game.
Yes, 61 people came onto we set up a Google form for everyone to participate in the over-under list after we aired the over-under, and 61 people responded and added their over-under picks. So we have a nice sample size of listeners and some people who did really well. We have a median score. We have all these different wonderful statistical things that we can talk about.
So whenever we're wrong, we're hopefully not alone and wrong like we were sometimes last year.
I'll say this as a little like tease. One of you is over the median and one of you is under the median, both and by the same margin. So symmetrically, you two made up the median.
All right. Do we need to run over any reminders or anything for anybody before we get into the results?
I don't think so. I think we can take them as we go. Generally, these were based on all games that I could find information for, not just MLS games. But if there's something where like something has to change, I'm able to change it very quickly. So if we need to make a call in the moment, we can do that.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's jump in. What do we got first?
So the first one was based on a very interesting narrative, because the first one was goals against within the first 15 minutes. Last year, Austin FC had a big problem getting scored on early. They had 11 out of 55 goals against scored in the first 15 minutes. The line we set was 9.5. So how will they improve? You both said under, and it was under.
But probably not for the reasons we expected it to be, huh?
Yeah, they always came out real strong on those first 15 minutes and then petered out. And now we have a new problem, which is going to be a spoiler alert, going to be an over-under next year is goal against in the last 15 minutes. But I didn't count it, but it was pretty clearly under. 42% of our respondents said under. So it's a pretty even split there. Not really even, but anyway, that was the first one. You both said under, so you both get the point. The next one, I'm very happy about this one. 0.5 Rodney Redis goals witnessed by the public. No hearsay. Will he score in a way that we will all see? He did once in MLS. He did once in US Open, I believe it was.
It
And
was New
what did
Mexico
we
United.
say?
It was a
New
banger.
Mexico United. And then he had one MLS goal later. So you both said over, and it was over. So both of you believed in Rodney. 37% of the listeners said the over. So the majority of listeners did not believe in Rodney to be able to score once.
I love this because I honestly did not remember what I said on that one.
Oh, you guys got to go in blind.
Well, I think we're gonna. One of the things that's gonna hurt me later is I feel like I thought Rodney was gonna have a lot more chances to score in like U.S. Open Cups and Leagues Cup and things like that than he ultimately ended up having. So that was where I was going over.
Yeah, I think that sounds familiar now. I think you may have said that, and I said over because of that reason.
Oh, the lines are insane because we all thought this team was going to be better and continue their quality in some way because all the lines are super high. Like under's a lot of times the correct answer. Okay. Next was 3.5 comeback victories by Austin FC. They had, Landon, you said over. Jeremiah, you said under, and it was under. I don't think I can't remember a single comeback victory, like a really iconic one at least. Maybe I'm missing one. Is there one where they came back from behind a little? I don't know, man.
I mean, there may not have been any at all.
There's certainly not 4. So it was under. Let's see. So Landon, you said over. Jeremiah. So Jeremiah gets a point, and I have 37%. 37% of the viewership, of the listenership, got it right.
So Marcelo, you may not know this, or you may not have recorded this yet, but have the listeners been right yet at this point?
The majority of listeners, let me see, have not broken 50% yet. That will change.
Okay.
But so far, the majority has been under 50, like they have not majority won yet. Okay. 29.5 Brad Stuver PK save percentage. This was predicated on the idea that we'd see more PKs because we were in tournaments and there'd be tiebreakers. He had 28.6 last year. Landon, you said over. Jeremiah, you also said over, but it was under. I looked it up. It was 0.
How many did he actually face this last year?
Like 3 or 4 or something. And I don't think he didn't save a single one.
Because it's probably inflated by shootouts too.
Yeah. That was the idea that we were going to see shootouts.
Yeah.
We thought we might see shootouts. And again, 37% of the group said correctly under. And no, that's not right. Sorry, 31% said under. So even worse. So far, not doing well. Nobody's doing well.
This is a hard game, okay?
This is the theme. All right, 2.5. Kippy starts on the first team.
Ooh.
Oh,
Kippy starts on the first team.
I'm sure I said over, but I don't know if that actually happened or not.
This is all competitions?
All competitions. I looked it up, yeah. You both said over.
And we were both wrong.
Oh wait, hold on. I've got this weirdly. Hold on. Let me double check that. Because you said over and Jeremiah said under. That's what OneNote has, but then my other sheet says that you both said under. Because on the Google form it said Landon said over, Jeremiah said under. So I'm going to trust the Google form.
I'm pretty sure I would have said over.
Okay. So that changes things a little bit here. Not by much, but it changes things. Okay. It was over because of Cascante's injury. He started a lot more than we thought he would. He had 3 in MLS. So even if he had even more than that, he was still over the line because Cascante got hurt at the beginning of this season. So we had to rely on Kippy a little bit.
It looks like he started in both Leagues Cup games as well.
Yeah. All right, next one. This one, I don't know where this line came from. I think maybe we all just tried to ballpark it. Maybe I think Seth might have helped me with this. I don't want to call out. I don't want to embarrass him, but it was players who play on both the first and second team. And I remember we defined this as they have to be on the field, not just listed on the bench, but on the field. Okay.
And what was the line?
The line was a comical 8.5.
I'm pretty sure I got this one right.
No, because you both said over.
No way.
I have hold on. Actually, again, what am I doing here? I'm not paying attention. Landon, you said under. Jeremiah, you did say over. So Landon gets another point. I don't know why I was like, I did it in an hour, and I probably didn't do it well. Yeah,
Again.
Landon, the answer was, do you guys know what the line, can you guys name what the correct answer was?
So
can you name
what's the criteria here again?
They have to actually be on the field in any game for both teams.
And what are we defining as a second team player?
Anyone who shows up on the second team and who shows up on the first team, not about the contracts or anything like that.
Okay. So it's going to be Kip Keller, Val Newell,
CJ Fodre.
CJ. Yeah. Is that all? That might be all.
That's it. 3 players played on both. Okay. Next one. Zardes starts in any game.
Really?
Yeah, because the question was, how much is he going to be the guy? And versus like with Urruti and all these different things. The question, I think I thought there would be more of a position battle. And while there wasn't so much a position battle, injuries.
There was a health battle. Yeah.
Yeah, there was an we are old battle. And I used the line 28.5 based on his number, like when he was at his peak for Columbus. So, or the last game, or like the last number of starts he had for Columbus, or maybe the last number of starts he had for Colorado, one of those things. So will he start to the same frequency that he started earlier? Landon, you said over. You're like, he's the guy. I remember that. You're like, he's the guy. Jeremiah, you said under, and it was under.
Now, wait, and what was the line again? Because
28.5
starts. Okay. Yeah. And we were also thinking like we're going to play 55 games this year.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes. Yeah. Marcelo, do you have like a running total as of right now for those that may not be like who may be driving responsibly and like not
right now
taking marks in their car?
Right now Landon is winning 4-3.
Okay.
But Zardes starts 28.5, and after this one, Jeremiah, you're tied 4-4 with Zardes starts in any game because it was under. He had 17 in MLS, and even if he started every other game we played, it'd be under 28.5.
So what you're saying is what the lack of competitions outside of MLS is what saves you on research, basically.
More or less, yeah.
More or less, you had to look at almost nothing else.
Now, I forgot to list some things about some stats here, which is that on the previous on the Kippy one, Kippy starts on the first team, 37% got it right. And then for players who play on both the first and the second team, 62% got it right. They said under 8.5.
Okay.
That's the first time and then now Zardes starts in any game. The vast majority, 78% said it over and they were wrong. 22% got it right. So almost everyone agreed with you that Zardes was going to be the guy who was going to start every game. He was going to be like the dependable striker.
Was this before or after we interviewed Zardes? Because I feel like we got everybody all excited.
I think it was after.
It was after.
I think it was after.
Yeah, everybody was fired up about it. And then everybody loved him, even the people that had questions.
He's such a nice
him.
guy. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, he's delightful. I hope he starts every game.
Like maybe this will be the beginning of having a striker. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, but the next one was 0.5 goals scored by Zardes not using his head or his feet.
Oh no, I don't
think he had one. In order to have one of those fancy goals,
you have to have goals.
Yeah. First of all, you have to have goals. Secondly, one of those goals. I'll say this: and this is kind of a meme answer, and I think a lot of people pick this as kind of a meme answer. Like 89% of the people playing picked over because they wanted the meme answer of like he's going to shoot with his butt, and both of you also said over, and everyone was wrong.
This is how strong the legend of Gyasi Zardes is. I played in a pickup game where a guy brought his 13-year-old son, and his son scored like a crotch goal just because of like how the ball like came into the area. And whenever it went in, he turned around and said something about Jossie Zardes as he was celebrating.
And yet we couldn't even have some of that magic this year,
No.
sadly.
Yeah, this year was definitely lacking in magic all the way around.
All right, so the next one was Austin's rank in the total salary budget when it comes out. And we defined it as whatever the latest information we have is, which just came out like a week or two ago. Whatever the latest information we have was going to be what we were going to judge by. They were 17th ranked at the time, which seems very low at the time. But this was before Diego's extension, before Driussi's extension, before Cascante's extension.
I think maybe Driussi's number wasn't even included in that. Is that true?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay.
But we said, will they spend more or they spend less? And this is where we got a little definitional. We decided that over meant they're going to spend more, even though the number would be smaller, because that would make it easier to understand. You both said over. You both said Austin's going to spend more. They're going to be higher up in that ranking. You were right. Both of you were right. What are they, like fifth now or something like that?
I want to say it ended up sixth after the newest ones, but I could be wrong.
And 52% of the group got it right. So everyone most people figured that was going to be okay. This was, I don't know why I put this in. Like, this makes no sense now. But apparently, it was like an even 51-49 split too. 1.5 first team appearances by Charlie Asensio.
Well, that's fair. That must have been, you guys had like a really long Slack thread about questions. And I feel like for you, that must have been, what is the most random possible question I can ask these guys,
like,
or something?
Because he was there. He did play the year before. He appeared at Q2 in I think it was a U.S. Open game or something like that. So we're like, will he appear again? Will he have more? Like, that was the storyline under that.
Yeah, I want to say I went with the under, but I might be wrong.
You did go under. Jeremiah, you went over, and it was under. He had 0. And he might be I thought he might be one of those people that appears both times, but like 49% of the group also said under, and they were right. 51% said over, and they were wrong. So,
right. So do you guys feel like we've seen all the Charlie Asensio we're going to see?
I mean,
2021 was his high point.
I think his contract is going to be up. I think he's like, if we see him in an Austin shirt again, I think it's going to be in an Austin FC 2 shirt on a second team contract.
But do you do that with a guy who's going to be 24 or something at that point? I
mean, if you need to fill the roster spot, I don't think he's going to be like a priority on the re-signing to-do list. But if he wants to be here and there's a spot for him, sure, bring him back. But I would guess maybe he would want to go try his hand at a USL team or something. I don't know.
All right. Now, are you guys ready to cry?
Sure.
Like we're not like we haven't before, but sure.
9.5 goals by Emiliano Rigoni.
Oh man.
He had what, 5, I believe.
Did he get? Oh yeah, because he went on a streak there for a second.
At the end, as they finally played him as a striker, he was actually effective.
Yeah, they all came in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, but 9.5 was the line. Will he break 10? And it's here's the really sad. Driussi had 11. So like we were being real optimistic about where this team was going to be.
Yeah, last year kind of ruined us, didn't it? Because we're like, because what the Golden Boot finished the year with like 16 or something this year.
Yeah,
and we were like, Driussi's going to score 15 easy.
Like, oh, Rigoni was just getting warmed up. He wasn't used to the team. Is he going to be better next year? Get used to the system. And now he's going to, but you both said under. You did not believe in 9.5 by Rigoni. You said under. You both said under. You were both right. And the majority of respondents also said under. Again, 49% said under. I'm sorry, not the majority. The slight minority, 49% said under and 51% said over. So fortunately, sad
to be wrong on this one.
Yeah.
Or sad to be right, I guess.
What's this one? Oh yeah. Here's a really interesting one. 14.5 percentage of there was a question the week before over under where someone said, outside of our core group, who's going to score, or like something like that. Like, and they listed this core group: Diego, Driussi, Rigoni, Zardes, Finlay, and Urruti. They didn't mention Alex Ring. They didn't mention they mentioned Finlay, which is weird. They didn't mention Redis, of course. They didn't mention Gallagher. And so the question was, what percentage of our goals will be outside that group of Diego Driussi, Emi, Zardes, Finlay, and Urruti? 14.5%. That was based on last year's percentage of goals that were outside that group. Where'd I go?
I feel like it's going to be higher just because the top group scored so few, but maybe that's still wrong.
They provided more opportunities to everybody else. Yeah.
You're exactly right. You both said over, and it was over. You both said over, and it was over. It was, I have the number here. Hold on. I got to find it. I did do the research. The number was 36%.
Wow.
Because Gallagher was awesome, and Ring got a few in there too.
And there's
and the main guys didn't score jack
didn't score at all,
which helped too.
Yeah, Gallagher cracks that top group, and then there's another, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other scorers.
Lima scored. Owen Wolf scored.
Bisonen has one.
Bison and Hedges has one.
Rodney, Lima.
Yeah. Which I guess is good. Like, you have a number of different goal scorers contributing. You just need the top group to do better. But 26% got it right at 14. Most people picked the under. They really believed that the main group would be here. All right, and now we have the one that I think only 2 people. I'm trying to make sure this is right here. I think only 2 people got this wrong.
Oh, got it wrong. Okay.
Yeah, and we're gonna wait. I'm sorry,
I'm gonna be one of them. I feel like that's how he said it.
No, you both got it. You both got it right. Okay. It was 4.5 appearances by Musa Jite, and you both were like, "Yeah, he's not here." But 2 people said over. He's gonna be back, and they were wrong, and everyone else got it right. So 72% of the group got it right. Sad. I really like him. That hat trick was great.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Musa's legend is like recency bias because he was quite bad in a lot of his previous appearances. He's a young guy, so you can I can see the hopefulness to okay, this is the start of what he's gonna be, but he literally had 2 or 3 good games and the rest of them were mediocre to bad. So I'm less I wanted the guy to succeed, but I'm less sentimental about him coming back than a lot of folks are, I think.
So the next one was when we kind of didn't know anything about what Austin FC2 was going to be like. And at the time we had we had a question of who is going to be the goalie? Was it going to be Damian Loss or was it going to be Eric Lopez? So I had 5.5 Austin FC2 starts by Damian Loss. This was asked by David Lee, who was one of your listeners. You both said over, and it was way over. He started all of them, was goalkeeper of the year. Yeah. No, he didn't. There was one he didn't start, where one of the backup goalies started near the end because he was backing up Stuver or something like that, and we lost 3-0 with that goalie. I forget his name.
Oh, it was a 16 or 17-year-old Spencer Sanderson.
Yeah, Sanderson. That's right. So that was the one game he didn't start, but he was MLS Next Pro goalkeeper of the year. Had an incredible career, kind of incredible season. So it was both of you said over. It was over. And 67% of the group said over. So,
all right. Well, before we go on to the next one, let's take a break. Yeah. And then you're gonna do some math for us, and let us know where we all stand from here on, and then we'll come back and finish it out. And I feel like you're gonna tell me that I lost. And I've been waiting for this for a week now since we started talking about this. Moon Tower Soccer is brought to you by Covert Ford. The Coverts have been meeting the needs of local car buyers for 114 years because of their service, financial expertise, and support after the sale.
In addition to supporting car buyers, Covert's an important part of the soccer community and the official automotive partner of Austin FC.
And again, this week we want to talk to you about a truck. This truck is the 2023 Ford F-150 Super Crew XLT, stock number 2230514. It's got an MSRP of $69,400, but with a manufacturer's rebate of $22.50 and dealer discount of $10,117. You can have it on a lease for $389 a month for 36 months, and with $6,000 due at signing. Visit covertford.com or see the dealer for details.
If you're in the market for that truck or any other new or used vehicle, be sure to check out covertford.com.
And Moon Tower Soccer is brought to you by Sayers Wilson Realty.
If you or someone you know are in need of Sage real estate advice in Austin, talk to our friends at Sage Wilson Realty. Be sure to check them out online at sagewilson.com.
All right. So at this time, there's only 5 left. But at this time, Landon and Jeremiah, I believe, are both tied. Is that right?
Which is interesting because you said there's a clear winner.
4, 5.
The fact that we're tied at the moment.
No, you're not. You're not tied. Right now, Landon is in the lead, 10-9.
It's like one of us is about to run into the ditch for the rest of the match.
No, but here's the problem though. We made some changes along the way. So my old tally was based on the old changes. So I have a new tally.
Oh,
and so it's
a mystery to all of us. Okay.
Yeah. So the next one
came in from Maricopa County.
Yeah, new votes came. I'm from Maricopa County, so
somebody made that joke in a pickup game yesterday.
Yeah.
If I could remember who it was, I would give them credit so they don't listen to this and think I stole their joke.
So next one was 4.5 first team goalkeeper starts not by Stuver. Stuver missed some stuff for COVID last year. Also, Tarbell got some starts, but we were wondering, will Bersano get starts? Will Las get starts? Nothing happened.
Wait, what was the line?
4.5. There's
the games that he misses.
Yeah, he doesn't start.
Okay.
Yeah. So another one of those where like I don't have to like count the Leagues Cup games that much because he also didn't start any of the. He also started all of those too. Like
he's one of a handful of players who played every MLS minute this season
and every non-MLS minute too.
Yeah, I think it was just 3. I think it was 3 keepers that played every MLS minute, and that doesn't take into account the other competitions.
So you both said under. You were both right, and then and the vast majority of the listeners also said under. 63% said under as well, and so everyone got that right. Now this one, a little sad about, and I wasn't keeping track, but I assume it's low. It was 4.5 number of Mate con Vos episodes, and I'm sure that was under. Like they didn't.
I want to say there was maybe 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, 1 or 2, right? It was really empty.
And I remember one of the things that we talked about was whether they had to be actually labeled as Mate con Vos or not, because I don't know that they did any.
They had no like
brand.
Yeah,
I think they might have done like a show or 2, like where the guys just hung out. But yeah,
even then, like they didn't do 4.5 of them.
No.
So Landon, you said over. Jeremiah said under, and it was under.
I feel like Landon went over just because he loved it so much that he wanted it to not only the
like
show,
the
but
Zardes butt goal.
Yeah, not
That's
only
right.
the show, but like the name of the show. I think is like one of your favorite things about it. Is that right?
It's so clever. Yeah,
It's very clever.
Yeah, Marcelo, I think there's probably still a lot of listeners and Austin FC fans who don't get like the pun of the name. Would you like to explain it?
Sure. So Mate con Vos literally translates to mate with you, but it's also mate con vos, like mate conversations. So I didn't get it until you explained it to me.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I don't even know if they meant it that way.
No.
But...
And what's interesting is the vos word is very specifically Argentine Uruguayan. Vos is you in Argentine Uruguayan Spanish as opposed to tú, which is the import, but no one uses tú there. They use vos.
Right.
So 36% of the group got that right. Everyone really wanted those Mate con Vos episodes.
I bet everybody from Handsome Boys Modeling Football Club missed.
Yeah.
Like, I bet it's 100% people who wanted to go over on that one.
It literally was see you never. So.
Oh man,
and nothing, Marcelo.
With Maxi Urruti's
Are you gonna have to change it now?
No, I'm leaving that forever.
Okay. He'll always have a place.
But in our show closing, it is it's Maxi's voice, it's then Driussi's voice, and then it's Diego's voice. And so Driussi's going to be the only voice on there, and he says like one word or something. I can't remember what he says.
we are going to say "see you never" to Maxi.
That's right. Thanks for nothing. See you never, Maxi.
Oh,
and I mean that with love.
This line is insanely high. 6.5 players who miss an MLS match due to yellow card accumulation. 6.5. That can't be right.
That seems insane because we had what,
I think it was two last year.
Yeah,
and
I think it was
we had Valencia
this year.
Danny, like we had
I
one
feel like
this year. Danny's the only one who missed.
Oh, did Cascante not miss one this year? Maybe he got a
Well,
red or
either way,
something?
it wasn't 6.5.
Yeah.
You
Did
both
it-
said under, and
Yeah,
yet
did
50% of the people said over.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, did Danny like count multiple times last year?
I don't know, man,
I
but
mean,
that's a lot.
he
It
was
says, oh, it
very
says here,
close to getting his second one last year.
it says here there were 7 last year.
Really?
7 people. What's wrong? What? I don't remember this at all.
I don't know how to quickly fact check this, but okay, Pereira, Driussi, Ring, Cascante, Urruti, Felipe, and
Felipe, that's
Valencia,
why.
all of those guys had above 5 and could have potentially gotten. I don't think some of them played enough to get to the accumulation, but 7 still sounds wrong.
The spirit of the idea was, will we be better with fouling? And we kind of were, except for Danny. So
Yeah, I don't remember what if we had any deeper logic, then that number sounds high or not.
yeah. But you both said under, and 50% of the group agreed with you. All right, here's a fun one. And I love the ones where you guys split. So this is a good splitter one. Jersey number of the first goal scorer of the season, 9.5. If you go over, you're buying into Driussi, you're buying into maybe Gallagher or Diego Fagundes. If you go under, you're buying into Zardes, you're buying into Rigoni, you're buying into, so Rodney's on the over. Like, so it was a question of who are you going to
Rodney,
pick,
yes, exactly.
right? And
Real threat.
Landon, you said over. Jeremiah, you said under, and it was Driussi, so it was over.
I think I was trying to will a Cascante goal into being. I think that was my reasoning here.
This one was split again pretty evenly. 54% of people said over. Okay, and here's another sad one. The last one of the main group. Seth set this line for me because I was like, "You're an expert. You tell me this." 47.5 total matches played by Austin FC, which was the idea of like
47.5.
Yeah, 34 regular season plus Leagues Cup plus CCL plus the MLS playoff.
Oh yeah, I remember it being like, "Oh, it's a 3-game playoff." So clearly, there's there's a bunch
playoff,
of games.
Leagues Cup back and forth, like the group stage in the Leagues Cup, and then the tournament stuff and CCL home and away.
CCL, yeah.
You're gonna beat Violet.
So yeah. I remember at least at one point being a bit more down on like the extra competitions than most people were, and saying like we're going to crash out of at least one or two of these because of the fixture congestion. But I can't remember if I let Jeremiah's reasoning talk me back into it, so I don't know if I got this right or not.
Landon, you said under.
All right.
Jeremiah, you said over.
I totally remember that. I felt like that was an easy over for me there, and clearly I was very wrong.
Again, one I wish I was wrong about.
The 29% of the group got it right, Jeremiah. So like a lot of people were real bullish that we would make a big run in one of these things.
Because that's all we needed, right? It was like one of those. Like we didn't need to make it in all of them, but we just had to maybe not bow out in a minimum number of matches against Violet, for example. Or
I think everyone
Leagues Cup.
And there was also a question of whether the Violet match where it's going to happen at the time.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and I think maybe, Len, I remember that you said that match isn't happening, so I'm going to go under because that match isn't happening. And that it happened, unfortunately. Okay, so
Amro Tarek, we hardly knew you.
Yeah. So with this, you guys are like originally in the original calculation when I did this incorrectly, Jeremiah, you were ahead of Landon, but now you're tied. And so we had a tiebreaker.
Of course, you had a tiebreaker.
I didn't research the tiebreaker because I thought, oh, they didn't tie, so I don't have to. But now we have to figure this out. The question is, will Gally play more minutes on the left or on the right? And hopefully you guys can tell me whether he played more minutes on the left or on the right.
It's clear. It was on the left, right, Jeremiah?
I feel like he started a lot more matches on the left than on the right.
All right.
And I think this is one where we agreed to disagree only for the sake of making this like a good game, and probably both thought it was left.
Correct, I guess, because Landon, you said left, and Jeremiah, you took the right, which means Landon squeaks ahead. I was all ready to be like Jeremiah wins, but Landon, you squeaked ahead on the tiebreaker. It was left.
Thanks for being a good sport in the name of entertainment, Jeremiah.
Whatever it takes, man.
Let's shout out some of the people who did really well on this, because you guys each had 13. The median was 12. So you guys both beat. Well, originally I had one of you at 13 and one of you at 11, but now with the corrections, the median score was 12.4. The lowest score was 7. I'm not going to mention who that was.
Let's not call that person out.
The lowest score was 7. There were a couple of 8s, a 9, a few 10s, and then most people got in the 11, 12, 13 range, and then a few people really, really stepped up. We had a 3-way third place. I want to name the people who got who did the top 3 score levels. So 3 people got the third place score. So Michael Wehrmeister, Travis Beck, and Tim Thompson each got 16. I'm trying to look at this thing here. And everyone who did this also said that Gally would play on the left.
Tim is a big stats head, so it doesn't surprise me that he did well here.
For the second highest score, Scott Reeves and Z Subani both got 17.
Wow.
They only missed 2 each. And then finally, standing alone, Hunter Hansen with 18 correct. He only missed 1.
Alone on top of, way to go, Hunter. Yeah. Alone on top of Mount Olympus, as they say. Yeah. So we'll send Hunter some stuff. So which one did he miss?
That's the question. You guys want to guess which one he missed?
Was it a stupid one?
Yes.
Was it Charlie Asensio games?
No.
Rodney Redes goals.
No. It was the Zardes butt goal. He guessed over for the meme.
He threw it for the meme.
He did it for the
vine.
He did it for the vine, did it for the meme, but it was not over. If he had gotten under, he would have been a perfect score. But he missed that one. But congratulations to Hunter. Thank you and thank you to all of our listeners who played. If you want to know what your score was and you're on the Los Verdes Slack, you can DM me directly and I'll be happy to give you your score and tell you how you did. We can also, if we want, I mean, I don't think we need to publish the PDF I have, but we definitely this was a lot of fun I loved having the listeners come in and give their opinions. So I think it was a lot of fun to compare the hive mind versus y'all.
I'm gonna use the excuse that we were put on the spot and had to think of something in the moment as the reason why we did worse than so many listeners.
You guys beat the median.
We didn't crack the top 3.
Not by much, yeah. And how many people just played Marcelo? Was it 60?
61.
61. Cool.
So and going a little bit further, 2 people got 15 right, a bunch of people got 14 right, and then a bunch of people, including y'all, got 13 right, and then a bunch of people got 12, and so on. So, but yeah, in that there was a very nice little bell curve from the top to the bottom.
I feel like we didn't even really publish the public game that much either. So I think we could maybe do a better job of that this year and get a lot more people in.
Yeah, that'd be great. And it's not that hard to compile the statistics. I want to give you a little bit of bragging rights here because I'm going to name some people. You both beat Phil West.
Excellent.
And you both beat Seth Rao.
No way.
Oh, well, that's actually, I'm surprised by that one. Yeah.
You both beat Arias. Arias Silva.
Stuck on that.
Who's been a guest on the show. Yeah, I think there's some other people here who I recognize from Slack, but those 3, because I know that they've been on the show before.
And they'll probably listen and want to know how they did. So that seems like a good group to call out.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anyone up here on top. You did not beat Katie Ensign. Neither of
you. And she will relish that fact for sure.
Actually, hold on a second. Yeah, no, you guys tied with Katie Ensign, so you didn't lose. But yeah, so this was a lot of fun. I'm really and like last year, when it's time to come up with next year's over-unders, we'll be soliciting suggestions from the Moon Tower faithful. So maybe if you want to put out a Patreon thing and ask for suggestions for over-unders. The real key is I would love to have lines where it's really 50% every time. So you could really go either way. That's the hard part about predicting these lines is sometimes you're you think it's going to be something that's clearly not that, 8 people getting yellow card accumulation.
Yeah.
So but yeah, this is a lot of fun, and we'll hopefully next year we'll go under on everything, and then we'll be delighted when everything is over.
When
That's
we do
right.
better.
We'll be happy to be wrong about
Yeah.
most of them.
Yeah, Marcelo, do you want to go ahead since you told us like 35 minutes ago about your plan for an off-season game? Just like tease that out a little bit because like that would be exciting since we got you.
Oh yeah, sure. So last year we did a Jeopardy challenge where Landon versus Jeremiah. We had Landon versus Jeremiah in a Jeopardy challenge. That was a lot of questions. So I'm trying to find something with fewer questions. And so we're gonna play. We're gonna do a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style trivia challenge during the off season. Landon and Jeremiah are each gonna get on the hot seat and gonna go up. I believe it's what is it, 10 questions or whatever. I'll look at the whatever the millionaire thing is and deliver the questions. They will all be multiple choice. You will have the ability to 50-50 once. You'll have the ability to phone a friend. We'll have some friends standing by ready to be phoned. If you want to set it up with some of the guests that we've had on the show before. And then you'll also be able to ask the audience. We will be able to pull the Los Verdes Slack in real time. We'll have a group of people online at the time ready to be pulled in real time to answer questions. And hopefully we'll see who gets to the top, who gets to win $1 million of fake money.
Of GAM.
I will do my Regis impression. And it would be really cool if we could put the background music behind everything, like the really tense, like we'll try that and see what happens. That may or may I'll work on that, but that's going to be the idea. We're going to do Who Wants to Be a Trivia Master, a Moon Tower Heir. I don't know how to. I'm workshopping it.
We'll workshop it.
And if you guys want to invite a third person of someone like maybe Kevin or someone who's been on the show before to come in and do it with y'all, we're happy to have them. So I think we would have the time for probably 3 at most. So.
All right, cool. That sounds great. Well, Marcelo, this was a lot of fun as always. Thanks so much for all the work you put into being the games master for us. But yeah, we really appreciate it. And thanks for coming on again.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. We want to thank Marcelo one more time for joining us. We'd like to remind you to rate, review, and subscribe. This is the day this show comes out. It's going to be the last chance for you to get a review in for us to donate some money to Community First. So do that if you can. If you want to continue the conversation, come find us on Twitter at elviajero87 and jbentley_ATX. And then at Moon Tower Soccer on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And then check out the Patreon. I put some rewards in the mail. So if you are waiting on yours, it should be coming to you. If you have been a member for a while and haven't received anything, let me know. It likely got lost in the mail. And so I'll need to maybe get an updated address from you. And then check out Phil West Substack, verdeallday.substack.com/moontower. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next week with hopefully some more Austin FC news, hopefully some more roster decisions. And I think we'll try to finish up the listener questions we weren't able to get to last week. Until then, I'm Landon Cottom.
Jeremiah Bentley.
We'll catch you next time.
When no one is around.
Thank for nothing, see you never.
La gente, oh my God,